According to Politico, Donald Trump's campaign manager, Corey Lewandowski, will reportedly not be prosecuted for battery against former Breitbart reporter Michelle Fields. Joining me for more on this, co-host of The Five, Kimberly Guilfoyle, is here to go on the record and is a former prosecutor, still a lawyer, but former prosecutor. Big news.
Yes, well, this is a story built perfectly for the two attorneys here at the table tonight. This is significant, and if you recall, Greta, when this first transpired, you were the first person to say, in fact, that you didn't feel, based on the elements, based on the facts that we knew at the time, video, that it amounted to making the criminal elements of what a battery entails, right, in terms of that. So there was some, people positioning back and forth on it, turning into a kind of a political fracas.
People took sides.
They did. They took
People
sides,
were
yeah.
unwilling to look at the video. They took sides. It was fascinating.
It was, because they wanted a certain outcome or to see it a certain way. But as attorneys, as lawyers, and myself as a former prosecutor, I know that you have to actually meet the elements of a crime in order for it to have occurred. So when you have something like that, you can rely on a videotape. Or if you didn't have a videotape, you would rely on percipient witnesses, eyewitnesses there at the scene to come together to take a stand to say what, in fact, they saw happen, and then, of course, from the victims themselves.
And as a former prosecutor, I mean, think of the prosecutor in this case, because Florida has cameras in the courtroom.
Mm-hmm.
This may be a big break for Michelle Fields, because she would have had to take the witness stand.
Yes.
And she would have been, she would have been grilled on this. I mean, this was not a, I mean, as a prosecutor, you're looking at, would you have, we call it papered, I don't know what you call it, would you have filed this case?
Well, that's the problem. You have to go through it. You have to take all the statements. You have to see if, in fact, the videotape showed all the different angles and that type of thing. You can take a look at the video here, Greta. This is what we're referring to.
And you know what? The interesting thing is that if we had a couple of stills, and it's like, it appeared that at least at one point the Secret Service put their hands out too. And all you do is create a little confusion, some reasonable doubt for the jury, and bingo, the defense wins, the prosecution loses.
Right, because you have to also look at in terms of, what did someone intend, what was going on at the time, and you see that there's quite a lot of people milling about. It's kind of a fracas of sorts. So what exactly transpired, and then in fact you would also look at, as you know, when you determine believability, credibility of witnesses, whether people were eyewitnesses or whether the victim takes a stand, was there a prior consistent or inconsistent statement? Does it match up with what you saw on the tape?
I am not for assault at all. I want everybody to know that I'm not pro-assault, but I'll tell you, a lot of us women really fought to be in that scrum. We fought really hard to have an equal opportunity with male reporters.
So true, so true. I mean, you fought tooth and nail to be able to get in there, to be able to ask the questions, to be able to part of reporting the story, front row seat to history. So, this election cycle has been like none we have ever seen, and you just had Donald Trump moments ago live there in Pittsburgh. So this is quite an exciting time, but there's a lot of emotions running high, and there's emotional investment, Greta, to see certain outcomes depending on who you're supporting, and I think we've seen that.
Well, anyway, so the big news that Politico is reporting, and I'm so lucky. Kimberly came here to talk about something else on the campaign, but as a former prosecutor, still a lawyer. People always say former lawyer.
I know.
To both of us. Anyway, Kimberly, thank you very much.
Great to be with you, Greta.